Hello everyone and welcome to L. My name's Savannah with no H because H's are L. And today is a super special day because joining me is one of my besties, Jessica Fretch. F-O-A-R-K-S-H. I'm so happy to see you. I'm so excited to see it too. So Jessica, are you doing anything fun this weekend?
I'm going to see Frozen on Ice.
What? A love Frozen? Do you have an extra ticket?
Yeah, but my dad's taking me, so he has to use it.
Oh.
He knows like all the songs too. So.
Ow! Alright, let's do some show and tell. Is it true that you've been taking dance lessons?
Yeah, I've been dancing a lot.
What? Why show some of your moves?
Ew, of course.
Okay, let me bring the brag on my golden brag on the trip, can I brag on my golden brag on the trip, can I brag on my golden brag on the trip, can I brag on my.
Hey, girl, that's one funky beat you were listening to.
Oh, that's my stepdad, Jerry. He's so bad. What do you want, Jerry?
I just came downstairs to invite you gals upstairs. Ma just made one of her famous tater tot hot dish.
Ow!
Are you sure? It's gonna be good.
It's gonna be ow!
Well, suit yourselves.
Just get out of here, Jerry.
Alright, I'll see you girls on the flippity flop. Last chance. If you girls come upstairs, it'll make sure that me and your ma don't kiss at the table. But now, we just might.
Ow! Get out of here, Jerry! Get lost!
Alright, I'll catch you girls on the flippity
Oh,
flop.
it's so embarrassing. Stop! Okay, back to show and tell. I brought this poster to help end evil and suffering in the world.
Ew, that's beautiful.
I know. I really am hoping that the glitter will catch people's attention because I just want to do the part for the earth.
Ew, I love the glitter. There's just so much bad stuff in the world, and it makes me sad.
Do you know what might make us feel better?
What?
A smile. Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay, it's time for the speed round. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Flip phone.
Ew. Velcro shoes.
Ow! Wraps. Clocks.
Ew, what's the point? Diet Mountain Dew.
More like Diet Mountain. Ow! Randy Dasher.
Cute.
Really?
He's a really down-to-earth guy, and he has these most mysterious eyes, and he's the senior pastor of Constance Church.
Constance. Never heard of that.
Opera Spice.
Ow! Who cares?
Right?
Alright, that's all the time we have for today on L. I want to thank Jessica so much for joining us today.
I'm welcome.
Okay, everybody, make sure to tune in to L next week when we have a special guest. My mom shows us her new back mole.
Alright, I gotta admit, this is a little bit weird for me. This is the last time you'll see my ugly mug on your TV on a Wednesday night. I don't know how many hundreds of times I've sat or stood and looked through the lens and delivered a talk that ended up on TVs on Wednesday over the last 6 years, but it's been a lot and it's been great, and it's weird to think that this is my last house group video. There's nothing to do with what we're talking about tonight other than just want to take a second, since this is my last kind of time to be with everybody on a screen, and tell you guys how much I love you, tell you how incredible the last 5.5 years have been as a high school pastor at Constance. I could not have asked for a better job, and I absolutely couldn't have asked for a better group of students to be here, and I don't think there's a better group of leaders and volunteers in the world than what we have at High School Ministries at Constance. I've been in a lot of churches and never seen anything like them. And so to all of you, thank you from the bottom of my heart for the last 5.5 years. Thank you for watching me. Even if you didn't listen, I appreciate that every Wednesday night you sit down and look at me for 5 to 8 minutes, sometimes more if I ramble. Tonight, probably, since I'm rambling. But yeah, thank you, and I love all of you more than you know, and I'm pray for you. I will continue praying for all of you through this school year. It's been a blast to be here, and I can't even put it into words other than to say, since I'm rambling and I have the camera one last time, I'd love to see all of you just a couple more times at Ash Wednesday next Wednesday, on Sunday, this Sunday, and then on Sunday the 22nd, which is my last Sunday. I think we're gonna do something just a little bit different, a little bit shorter, and just have some time to hang out. Would love to see everybody there and just get a chance to say goodbye. And then at Broomball on the 25th, it's gonna be a great day, unless the city of Andover cancels on us at the last moment, which 98% chance of that happening. But really would love to see everybody at all the rest of the stuff, and just get a chance to tell you face to face and not through a TV that I love you guys, and that I'll miss you. And I genuinely will. I've loved every minute of my job for the last 5.5 years, and I'm excited about what God has ahead, but just deeply grateful for every moment that I had here with you guys. That's the end of my incoherent rant, or semi-coherent rant. Alright, but moving on to the topic of the night. I do want to talk about this. Savannah, with no H because H's are L, made a sign for world peace, and talked about how much suffering there is in the world. And I want to talk about the problem of evil and suffering tonight, because I think it's a question that every single one of us has for God at some point in our lives, and a question we have about our world, and certainly the world around us is asking, like, why is everything so broken? I read an article the other day about this town in Kenya, and a terrorist group called Boko Haram came into this town that was full of Christians, an historically Christian town, and massacred 2,000 people in a day. Like men, women, and children. A bunch of them fled to like some swampy marshes, and they're hiding out with no food, just trying not to get shot. And I thought, like, how does this even happen in our world today? Why is the world so broken? And it is, and it's messed up, and it's hard to look at a world around us where we suffer, and where we see people suffering and starving and dying and being killed by terrorists, and wonder, like, why? If God is loving and He's all-powerful, why doesn't He just stop it? And that question of why a loving, all-powerful God allows evil and suffering in the world is the one I want to answer tonight. And I'm going to warn you right off the bat. I could spend an hour talking tonight and not answer that question fully or completely or in a way that's probably satisfying for everybody. I could spend 5 hours. There are books and volumes of books and systematic theologies that have been written about the problem of evil and suffering in the world, and nobody has come up with an answer that's perfectly satisfying or perfectly okay or perfectly articulate. That's like, oh, of course, that's why. I feel so good about it now. And part of the reason we can't feel good about it is because there's still suffering. At the end of the day, the answer to the question of why God allows it in our world doesn't stop it in our world. It means that there's still evil and suffering, and people far more brilliant than me have dedicated their lives to studying. And so if there was a really easy, simple answer that was satisfying, that made us feel all warm and fuzzy inside, we would know it already. You would and I would, and certainly I'd give it to you, but there isn't. The simple fact of the matter is that God, as He reveals Himself to us, as He revealed Himself to us throughout the Bible, and as He revealed Himself to us in person when Jesus came down and suffered for us and died on a cross so that we could be forgiven and set free and reconciled. This God who reveals Himself to us reveals that He's love. And He reveals that He's in control and He's sovereign and He's powerful, and He reveals that He has a vision to set all things right and make all things new again. So we trust that and we believe it, and then we look at the problem of evil and suffering, and that's why and how. And the simple answer, or the simplest we can get, as far as I can boil it down, and it doesn't alleviate evil and suffering, it's just like God created the world and He created it perfect. In Genesis He called it Tov Tov, perfect. Tov means good, and when you stack two of them on together in Hebrew, it means perfect. He said the world is Tov Tov, it's very good. This is exactly the way that it should be, and it was sinless at that point in time. But He also created Adam and Eve with the choice. The choice to choose Him or reject Him, because He loved them. He created them for relationship. And so some people, because they want to protect God's sovereignty and His power, so well, then God must have created sin. But the Bible tells us that that's not true. They're wrong. God didn't create sin, and He didn't create evil. That's not the way it works. And God doesn't cause sin and cause evil. That's never the way that it works. He created everything perfect, but He created Adam and Eve. He created humanity, you and me and us, for relationship with Him. And any real relationship involves choice. It's why none of the girls are dating Harry Styles in our high school ministries tonight. I'm sorry that you're not, but it's not a relationship if everybody doesn't know about it. And if Harry doesn't know that you're in love with him, you don't have a relationship with Harry, right? Like, relationship involves choice. It's not real love unless you can choose it. And so God, because He loved us, created us with the capacity to love Him. He created us for relationship. But that meant creating us with the will to choose Him or not choose Him. And the reason that there's evil and there's suffering in our world is sin. Our sin. Because me and you, because Adam and Eve, and because everybody in between them and us chose sin. We chose to turn our back on God. We chose to walk away from Him. And in His love, because He wants relationship with us, He allows us that choice. So most of the evil that we suffer in the world is a consequence of people choosing to injure one another, choosing to be selfish, choosing to not be who God created them to be, choosing not God instead of choosing God. And we suffer the consequences of that. Even natural disasters. I mean, modern climate science is showing us over and over again that human selfishness and human sin has an effect on the planet. Which is what the Bible tells us over and over again. Romans 8 says, all of creation is subject to brokenness and futility because of the sin of mankind. The Bible said it. It took us 2,000 years of science to figure out, oh my goodness, they're right. The selfishness and the sinfulness of humanity, not being who God created us to be in relationship with Him and in relationship to one another, really not only causes harm and hurt and pain to one another, but it causes harm and hurt and pain to our planet, to everything around us. But the truth is that God reveals Himself as a God who loves. And then it begs the question, like, if He knew that we were going to turn our back on Him, like, if He's sovereign, He knew that Adam and Eve would sin, He knew that you and me would sin, He knew the pain that we would feel. He knew the pain that we would feel when we suffer and when we lose people we love. He knew the pain that our world would experience. He knew the depths of the depravity that we would see. Why did He create anyways? Why did he even do it? Why did he even go through with it? And again, I think the answer is love. Because he loved us enough to know that if we chose him, and he was going to do everything to get us to choose him, if we chose him, all the joy and all the love and all the healing and the fullness that we'd experience in him, in right relationship with him and with one another, eternally, just outweighs it by far. It blows out of the water any pain that we would experience. It's not even worth comparing. So he created us for love, and he loved us enough that even though we walked away and we rejected him, even though we created the brokenness that we're living in and we're responsible for the brokenness we're living in, he didn't just leave us there. He didn't abandon us there. Even though we turned our backs and we walked away, he said, I love him too much to leave him there. I created him out of love. I created him for love. That's why this is happening. And so he stepped into history and he suffered for us. And so I think something incredible about all the evil and suffering in the world is that we can take comfort in the fact that our God knows pain. That he doesn't exist completely outside of it, that he doesn't exist in some sphere where he has no idea what it feels like to lose someone that you love, where he has no idea what it feels like to hurt and to suffer and to be frustrated and to experience the brokenness of our world. He's a God who entered into it. He's a God who suffered for us. And so we can have confidence that even though the world is broken, and even though we don't know why, God doesn't stop all the evil things that happen, because he could, and we believe that he could, and sometimes he does, but he doesn't stop it always. And even though we don't understand why, he chooses sometimes to allow things to happen, we can have confidence. We can have confidence that he hurts for our hurts. That he suffers right there with us, and that he's a God who loves us so much, who so loved the world, that he refuses to abandon us to that brokenness, but he came and he died and he rose again so that we could be reconciled to love and to relationship with him, this relationship that we were created for with him and with one another, so that all the brokenness could cease, so that we could live the lives that we were created for in the perfect world that he created. And he's a God who promises us that he is at work even here and now to set all things right and make all things new. And that is a hope worth hoping for. Amen.